Ah, welcome, Dwayne.
What's going on? Don't you realise how dangerous it is to intercept a Zoom call?
Oh, come, Dwayne. Not with our techniques. We podcasters transcended such simple software applications when the audience was less than half its present size.
Look, whatever I've done for you in the past, I've more than made up for. I will not tolerate this continual interference in my live stream.
Continual? We pride ourselves. We seldom interfere in the affairs of others.
Except mine.
You, Dwayne, are a special case. You enjoy the freedom we allow you. In return, occasionally, not continually, we ask you to do something for us.
I won't do it. Whatever it is, I refuse.
TV Doctor Who.
TV Doctor Who? Tell me more.
We foresee a time when it will have destroyed all extended media and become the only remembered entertainment in pop culture.
That's possible. Tell on.
We'd like you to return to Classic Who at a point in time before audio drama evolved.
Do you mean ensure their creation?
Or remind your podcast audience of that joyous, nostalgic time period so that they evolve into less aggressive creatures.
That's feasible.
Alternatively, if you learn enough about its very beginnings, you might discover some inherent tidbits of useless trivia.
All right. Just one more time.
You'll do it.
Yes. If you let me have the DVD or Blu-ray, I'll set the share screen to Spearhead from space.
There's no need for that, Dwayne.
Huh?
You're here. This is Spearhead from space.
What?
We thought it would save time if we assumed your agreement.
What's this?
A microphone. It'll record our commentary until we're finished here. There's just one thing.
What's that?
Be careful to do a backup. That recording is your lifeline. Good luck, Dwayne.
Just a moment. Don't just disappear. What about doing this commentary? G'day, audiophiles. This is the Sirens of Audio, or should we say video, the show that explores the universe of Doctor Who in the audio medium, or sometimes video. My name's Dwayne.
And my name's Philip. G'day, Dwayne. G'day, audio or video files.
G'day, Philip, and welcome to Doctor Who Podcast Day for 2024. This episode's dropping a day early to fit in with that, spearheaded by, do you see what I did there? Spearheaded by our friend Dan Hadley from Type 40. And joining us on today's podcast is Chris, our good friend from Melbourne. G'day, Chris.
Hey, how you going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good. How many of these podcasts have you done before?
My very first one. I've never been on a podcast before, so a little bit nervous.
Excellent.
But yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, it's great to have you, Chris.
Oh, thanks, Phil.
But it was a lot easier to get you on this podcast than the guest that we have joining us for this bit of a different podcast today that we've ever done before, and that is First Doctor himself from Big Finish, Stephen Noonan. G'day, Stephen.
Oh, me? Hello.
Yeah, you.
What do you mean it was difficult getting me on? As soon as you mentioned doing a commentary on Spearhead from space, I was like a rat up a drain pipe.
12 months we've been trying to get you on a podcast, Stephen.
Well, but the benefit of that is that in that time we've had many Zoom chats, haven't we? And,
we have,
and it developed a very enjoyable friendship, I think, between the three of us. So it's been fantastic.
It's so good to have you here, and it's good to be actually recording for once, Stephen. But yeah, lovely to have you. That's for sure.
Well, it's slightly nerve-wracking to be, put on the spot, recollecting a story. Well, we could talk about the first time we saw Spearhead from Space, or are you saving this for? Is this the rabbit hole?
Yeah, I think we'll save that for the
Right.
quiet. We'll save that for a quiet bit during the commentary.
Yeah, no.
Before we get to that, we're definitely
Yeah.
going to get into a rabbit hole because we couldn't do a podcast without jumping down the rabbit hole. But Philip, just run by us again what's going on with our live events. We've got some September ones coming up very rapidly.
We do. So in a month's time, we have Fraser Hines. Firstly, so Fraser is coming to Sydney and then Melbourne. So grab your tickets for them. And then Fraser will be shooting up to Brisbane, and he'll be joined in Brisbane with Katie Manning. So in Brisbane, there'll be Katie and Fraser together. And then Katie will be going to Adelaide. So the month of September, I think there's something every weekend with either Fraser or Katie. And so that's looking fantastic. And then in November, it's been announced, you should have seen the stuff now, Sylvester McCoy is coming out. He's doing his last tour in Australia. Not his last tour, because I'm sure he'll be doing lots of stuff still in the UK and America. But this will be his last time, probably, he's saying. Or it's John Farnham. Last tour to Australia.
I was going to say, is he a John Farnham or...
We don't know. People around the rest of the world probably don't know who John Farnham is, but yeah, never mind.
I don't know.
Probably
Who is
not.
John Farnham?
John Farnham's an Australian icon singer.
Oh, is he?
So
Okay.
yes,
Right,
but he's done lots of.
One-time lead singer of the Little River Band.
Oh. I know who Don Bradman is.
Well, that's good.
No relation.
And as well as
And
Sylvester,
Janet Fielding. There's another one.
Janet Fielding. So we've got Janet Fielding as well. So true Australian. And Janet Fielding and Sylvester McCoy will both be together in Melbourne and Adelaide. And you know, if we as I say, if we pack out some other venues, I think we could even get Janet to join us as well. But last year Janet did Sydney anyhow, and Brisbane and Hobart. But yeah, you never know if we can pull in 120, 130 people in Sydney. I'm sure we can talk into both Sydney and Brisbane if we got some big numbers. So
She's from Brisbane, isn't she?
She's from Brisbane, and so she'll be up there with family as well.
Where does she live now? Does she live over here?
She does. Yeah, she lived there for most of her life.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
On the coast.
Well, thank you very much for that. That's very exciting to look forward to, coming up very, very quickly. Now, we are going to be doing a live commentary on Spearhead from Space. So this is something we haven't done before. We're doing it specially for Doctor Who Podcast Day, and we're going to just see how it goes. But before we do that, do you know what, Philip?
No, what, Dwayne?
You do so. We're going to jump down the rabbit hole. Hold hands, boys. Here we go. All right. Thanks for joining us down the rabbit hole, Chris, Stephen, and Philip. My question to you today is, because we're talking about Spearhead from Space, it was a landmark story because it was the very first Doctor Who episode to be shown in colour. A lot of people didn't see it in colour, though, but it was still the first one. So I'm curious to know what your memories are of seeing Doctor Who for the first time in colour. Chris, I don't know if you're old enough to remember Doctor Who in black and white. So you may have always seen it in colour, but that's an interesting question. But Stephen, what about you? Your first memories of Doctor Who in colour?
Yeah, well, you know, being born as recently as I was, I am a child of the Pertwee era, and it's always hilarious when you hear young fans talking about, oh, it must have been amazing for the audience to suddenly see Doctor Who in colour with the first episode of Spearhead from Space, and you think, yeah, well, a handful of very, very, very wealthy people in the southeast of England may have seen it in colour, but very few people, ordinary people, and the rest of the nation would have seen it. So, in fact, Barry Letts didn't have a colour set at home, and he, as the producer of the era, and there was in the gallery there was one master colour TV set monitor, and all the other monitors around the studio were black and white as well. So very few people saw it in black and white. So my earliest Doctor Who memory is the Sea Devils, episode 2, being terrified of the Sea Devil burning through the door, running into the kitchen, and telling my mum it was too frightening for me to watch, though instantly hooked by this extraordinary drug. And the only opportunity of seeing any Doctor Who in colour at this time was at my grandmother's. She got a colour set in 1973, as many people did, to be in time for a particular national event. Anybody any ideas what that was? It was a royal ceremony.
Coronation, I'd say. Hey, the coronation.
Not that long ago. That was 1953.
Of course. Yeah.
So this is 73.
Would it Princess Anne or something?
It's Princess Anne's wedding. I think to Anthony Armstrong Jones. A lot of people got colour sets. Like a lot of people had got actual TV initially for the coronation. A lot of people got colour sets for Princess Anne's wedding. So my grandmother got a colour set in 73, but unfortunately she hated Doctor Who more than Mary Whitehouse. My grandmother. I mean, she absolutely loathed it, and if we ran at her house, it was almost miraculous if I got to see Doctor Who. And I used to dread being around there on Saturdays as the time was approaching, because he'd put up a terrible fight. Her favourite programme was Coronation Street, but on Saturdays, she would claim that whatever was on ITV opposite Doctor Who was her favourite programme that night. And she said, well, my mum would say, Doctor Who's his favourite programme, and she'd go, well, my favourite programme's on the other side, whatever it was, However, by some extraordinary miracle, episode 2 and episodes 2 and 4 of the Carnival of Monsters, I was allowed to see at my grandmother's. And I remember seeing the Pertwee title sequence in colour for the first time, and and of course anybody who did have a colour set at the time would turn the colour up to 11 because they were so impressed by the color. So it was sort of glaring off the screen like an acid trip, searing, scars into your retinas. And just seeing it for the first time, it was mind blowing. And the vivid memory of seeing the Drashig coming up out of the mud at the end of episode 2. Very vivid memories of Vorg and Shurna, or the girl with the little bobbly things, as my dad called her. And it's from Carnival of Monsters onwards that my memories of Doctor Who are very vivid, but very few colours after that. Episode 3, ironically, of Planet of the Daleks, I remember seeing there was a row between my mum and my grandmother. My mum was saying, let him watch Doctor Who, and she grandmother wanted to turn over. And so I remember seeing them crawling through the ice tunnels in episode 3 of Planet of the Daleks before it was turned over. And that is why is that ironic that I saw that episode in colour?
Well, because that was the only episode that was missing from that story.
That was missing and is still, they never found it, and they colorized the 16mm black and white print, didn't they? Eventually, but for a long time it was only viewable in black and white. And episode 6 of Frontier in Space I saw in colour. It's funny, isn't it? I vividly remember the ones I saw in colour, and the difference between black and white and colour. I don't think I saw any of season 11 in colour until the repeat at Christmas. We were around at my grandmother's, and I had to go over the road to this lad over the roads. They had a colour too, so I saw that. So the Planets of, and then the first story I saw at home in colour. We got a colour TV on the 9th of May, 1975, the day before episode 4 of Revenge of the Cybermen. I remember it just seemed such an amazing luxury to be watching Doctor Who at home in colour and seeing Tom Baker's costume in colour for the first time, the vividness of the scarf and the red, and vividly remembering the line Harry Sullivan is an imbecile. That's, because after the Rockfall, and it just seemed pure luxury to be watching Doctor Who in colour at home. And from then on, it was all colour. So Tom Baker's a colour doctor, but John Pertwee is very much a black and white doctor for me.
Interesting. Chris, have you always seen Doctor Who in colour?
I have got I've got a faint memory of seeing John Pertwee as a kid, and I'm talking very, very young. So I was born in 78, so I'd say 81, 82. So obviously it'd have to be a repeat. And then my parents got rid of our TV for most of the 80s. So we didn't,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I didn't actually get to see a lot of Doctor Who. I saw bits and pieces if I was at someone's house or my nan's house or somewhere. But I didn't see it really until 89, 90. Then, so yeah, pretty much always in color, except for the ones I got on VHS. So the first one I saw in black and white would have been the Daleks, I think. I borrowed that from VHS from the local store, and I went around to a friend's place and they let me watch it in their bedroom because they weren't interested in Doctor Who, and we didn't have a VCR or a TV, so they let me pop it on there and watch it in their room. So that's the first one I remember watching black and white.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, your
Mm.
memory's pretty good because there were lots of Pertwee stories in black and white during
Yeah, I
during
just
that time. Philip, do you recall that?
I do. I mean, we grew up with the black and white TV. The first color TV I remember seeing, we were actually in the UK. We flew over there to spend some time with my grandparents over there, and they had a color TV. So that would be 1974, and I just remember watching the cricket because it was so green. This grass, it was green. So that was my first memory of color TV. And it was a couple of years after that we got our first color one. Now, in terms of Doctor Who, all my early experience of Doctor Who was all color. So I came in during Tom Baker repeats around Android Invasion, got to Tons of Wing Train, then went back to John Pertwee, but only showed the color episodes. So Spearhead from Space, then it jumped to Day of the Daleks, used 2 entire seasons because they didn't show anything with the Master in it either. And then we hopped along a few, the sort of 10th season.
So were you in a
then-
different district to where Dwayne was then? Was this on ABC as well?
ABC. No, I think it must have been. Well, I don't know. Might have been
Well,
earlier.
I think Philip, your memory is a little bit earlier than mine. So
Yes,
I
I think
wasn't sort of
I started watching a bit earlier.
So were they going through phases of sometimes they wouldn't show the black and white ones? They jump from color to color.
So when I started watching in '78, it was only color episodes, and I saw it repeated a couple of times.
Right.
And so as I said, it jumped from Spirit to Space to Day of the Daleks, and then from Day of the Daleks, the next one would have been, because there's no Master, no Sea Devils. It almost went then to the Three Doctors.
It would have been Curse of Peladon.
No, Curse of Peladon wasn't the part of it. That was left out because there's Monster Peladon, but no Curse of Peladon in those repeats.
Yeah.
And then they did a repeat, and then they added in the black and white. So for me, the black and white stood out. So the Silurians were black and white, and Bats of Death were black and white.
Yeah.
And that was really exciting. And I actually enjoyed those in black and white. And then we used to show. Then they brought in Invasion of the Dinosaurs, but didn't show episode 1 because they only showed the color episodes. And then I do remember another repeat season when they put in the black and white episode 1. And just loving that.
You remember
episode.
Invasion of the Dinosaurs? They renumbered the episodes. So
yes,
episode 2 became
1, 2, 3, 4,
episode
5.
1 in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So
that must have been confusing. Yeah.
Well, you just sort of accept it.
You just assumed, they've not bothered to set this story up. They've just plunged into it.
Yeah, it actually fits in quite well.
Being menaced in the back of a Jeep, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Beginning of episode 2. Yeah.
Yeah, just escaping from the factory. So it was all quite normal. So so my experiences are it was all color, but I remember more when it went to black and white and actually seeing those black and white episodes and being super excited by that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a whole other discussion about, the effectiveness of the black and white aesthetic, even on stories that weren't made in black and white. I think that they were far. Nick Briggs said, because I was persuading Nick Briggs to rewatch the Pertwee stories in black and white, and because I often do that, I'll turn off the color to recreate that sensation of what it was like, and it's instantly. I think Nick came up with a sort of a figure. It's exactly 9.5 times more scary in black and white or something, and there's something about seeing the sea devils or the ogrons or the mine scenes in the Green Death, or seeing lynx. There's just because they look infernal without the color, Suddenly everything's gone black and dark, and it's automatically more eerie and strange, And
and
so
you got to remember that the directors who were filming all this stuff were used to filming in black and white.
yeah,
And so it took them a couple of years, I think, a couple of seasons to adjust to filming in colour and getting the colour right.
Never thought of doing that before, watching it all, those ones in black and white. I might give that a go.
give it a go. Yeah, well, you'd be watching, because when people say, "Oh, but it was the color doctor," but to recreate how most of the audience saw the Pertwee era is to watch it in black and white, because that's how everybody was seeing it. That's how we all got it,
Brian, what's your memories?
Even in the early 1980s, even to the mid 1980s, we had a second television in the house. So it ended up in my bedroom. But it was a little portable black and white television. So I was still watching that. So a lot of the Doctor Who, I was watching everything on that. So all of my Doctor Who was black and white. So we're talking about memories of color. Well, a lot of my memories of my childhood are black and white on that little portable television that I would stick my cassette recorder up against the speaker and record, the episodes off that. So that was still happening right up till the mid 80s for me. But yeah, I always say Pertwee was my Doctor, because my first memories are Spearhead from Space, which we're going to talk about in a second. But yeah, all his episodes, all the black and white episodes, were incredibly nostalgic for me. That was the prime time. And so I guess Pertwee was, when people say my Doctor, I think it was Pertwee was my Doctor because of that. So thank goodness they repeated it so much in Australia, because I was 10 years late, but I was able to still join the party. So that was awesome.
So how old were you when you first saw? So your first Doctor Who memory is Spearhead from Space.
It is.
How old were you?
I would have been about 2 or 3.
Is this when you were in hospital?
Yes.
Did you say? Yeah.
Dad hired a TV, and he used to come in after work and watch it with me. Yeah. And it happened to be Spearhead from Space.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that more in a second. But how about we jump up out of the rabbit hole?
Let's
get this commentary going. This is something new. And for anyone who's listening or even watching, I will count you in to start the video off, so you can synchronize along with us.
I'll be back in 5 seconds. Is that right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I might actually go for a wee break, if that's okay. Won't be a minute. Is that all right?
Cool. There you go.
Yeah. I usually have about 3 or 4. Hear about Good Who, subscribe to the Sirens of Audio. Hear about Good Who, subscribe to the Sirens of Audio. Sirens! Audio! Sirens! Sirens! If you want Good Who, subscribe to the Sirens of Audio. All right, I'll count you in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There it is. Bernard Lodge's colour titles, which was shot, of course, in black and white because they couldn't make it work with the colour cameras to start with.
They had to use gels to add the colour later.
Gels.
Looking at the extras on the Blu-ray today, I was looking at the original title sequence with Pertwee with his hands up like that.
Yeah.
I thought that looked much better.
Did you?
Went with that?
Did you? Well, there was another idea. They were going to have him throw his cape over the camera. Was another idea, and then to go into the titles. I remember when I first saw this. I first saw this on VHS, and I was immediately impressed by that shot because it wasn't a dodgy CSO space shot, which I
Do you
think I was
think-
expecting.
Oh, there's our mate.
Do you think Russell T Davies was using that as his emphasis for Rose? We brought them back in Rose.
Oh yeah, possibly
Starts-
as an homage to the another homage to
Yeah.
the first one. So that is Ellis Jones, who was very well known to my generation for a comedy kids series called Pardon My Genie, in which he owned a hardware shop and summoned a genie from a watering can. That is, I think she's called Tessa Shaw. She was also in an episode of Doomwatch I noticed recently when I was rewatching them. And she was also, for revived series fans or fans of Stephen Moffat, she was in an episode of what's the kids series? Press Gang.
Oh, was she in Press Gang?
Was
Yeah.
she in Press Gang?
She was in
Oh.
she was in an episode of Press Gang, so check it out. And here's Sam Seeley. His name
The uniforms were very brown, weren't they? It's a
Yeah.
choice of colours.
that's probably the least effective shot in the whole thing, those meteorites, isn't it? That's not up to the standard of the rest of the effects, I think. He's called Neil Wilson, that actor. We'll come back to him later because we've got our favourite line coming up quite soon.
I guess that's how we got the title straight away. Spearhead from space. The Spearhead's arrived.
Yeah. And I can't hear. Oh, there's the music. This is Dudley's got a bigger orchestra, I think, than he ever had, which adds to the sort of the cinematic feel of the story. That it's got a sort of a much beefier soundtrack.
But I think this was still a one-off for Dudley. He never did anything quite like it ever again, I don't think.
Well, I didn't have the resources because, I mean, you know, after this, it's largely synthesizers until there we are.
We missed it,
Mustn't
mustn't
they? I love that sudden close-up, which is sort of bizarrely awkward but brilliant at the same time. Here he comes.
It's such a battered TARDIS.
I love it
boy.
battered. I hate it when they over. This is Midland Road, St Pancras. I sent our WhatsApp group at the video of me the other night, walking down that road underneath St Pancras Station. The beautifully designed Gothic folly, designed by George Gilbert Scott. That music that epitomizes the late 60s, very early 70s to me. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of.
So that's Derek Sherwin, the producer.
That is Derek Sherwin.
That's right. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because the person they hired was too pathetic.
He couldn't do it. He couldn't do the lines. That's right.
He's very dismissive, isn't he? Of get that costume off. I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
And this is the only episode he produced solely as producer.
That's right.
Everything else he worked on, he was associate producer.
Yeah.
He walked out halfway through anyway. So
well, he was summoned to take over Paul Temple, to help Peter Bryant on Paul Temple, because do you know who the producer who had set it up and then it's never been explained left was Alan Bromley, who directed Time Warrior and was infamously the director of Creature from Nightmare of Eden. When Graham Williams took
he's
over
the
and then
director that
resigned.
quit too, isn't it?
Say again?
He quit Nightmare of Eden, didn't he?
Yeah, we're missing the scene. There's Courtney with the X-Files behind him, as he points out on the commentary. He's got his stick-on moustache. She's got her stick-on eyelashes.
I feel eyelashes are amazing. So
She tells a story about how they had to be stuck on one by one, each of those eyelashes. And one day she was late getting the train from Ipswich and knew she wasn't going to get there in time for the makeup to do it, so she had to do it on the train herself. Curious costume, isn't it? This story about plastic, that she's actually got sort of plastic growing out of her armpits on her jacket.
Well, when she stands up and you look at that outfit, it reminds me of a bedspread that my parents used to have.
Was it a plastic
So it's
bedspread?
very well. It certainly looked like her top. So I don't know if it was plastic, but certainly reminded me of that.
This is the patient there. That's the most improbable bandage I think I've ever seen, isn't it?
And she's
something
reading a
sort of-
magazine with one eye.
Yeah, it's something.
She just had an eye. She's had an eye poked out, and she's sitting there reading a magazine with
There's
an
something
eye.
with
With
Monty Python about her, isn't it? Isn't there?
and that's the first appearance of the Mara in Caroline John's hair.
Oh, is there a snake in her hair? I've never noticed that.
Just the whole style of it, all the way it's rolled up.
Right. Nice big ashtray there for Nick, who liked a fag. Oh, for cigarette
It's
variety,
huge, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like the centerpiece of the whole desk.
yeah. Well, that's 70s for you, 60s,
That was,
70s. Everybody smoked.
Hillsman and Lincoln will be paid their £5 for the appearance of the Brigadier. So every time he appeared,
Yeah.
they got £5.
That's right. Yeah.
That sounds like a very good deal, actually, in some ways. £2.50 each.
Well, one of the reasons why a lot of those early publicity photos of Pertwee with the Yeti was the Yeti were originally supposed to be the first threat of Pertwee's era, and I think it was a disagreement with Haseman and Lincoln that meant that didn't happen.
Well, there was supposed to be the writing out of Jamie was supposed to go with a.
That's right. The Laird of McCrimmon, was that the name of the story?
That's right. Yeah.
This is John Breslin as Captain
Captain
Monroe. That's right.
And
The
why didn't he
original
stay
idea that
on
was
as the
that
captain?
there was going to be a different captain in every story because Sherman liked the idea of the Brigadier. It was such a vast organization that you'd see how vast it was by there being different personnel every story. That's why we get Paul Darrow in the next one, don't
So
we?
Avon, we've got Avon in the next one.
As Hawkins, yeah.
But they kill him off. Munro survives at least. I think, doesn't he? Or they kill him too.
He does, doesn't he? He just sort of fizzles out, doesn't he? And he's good,
Yeah.
I think. It's a good sort of naturalistic performance. I love Caroline John's responses to the nonsense about police boxes. This is
Is this the first reference to Two
the
Hearts?
first reference to
entire
Two
series?
Hearts. That's right. That's Anthony Webb, who was at Ipswich Theatre with Caroline John, so she was delighted there was a familiar face. I can't remember the name of the actress. Actually, I think she's called Helen Dorwood. There's Talf the Teeth, Talfrin Thomas, who we all know so well, of course, from The Green Death
Green Death, yep.
and
Yeah.
Survivors. Are you familiar with Survivors?
Yes, very much so.
Yep.
That's
I've heard of
probably
it.
the most harrowing episode, isn't it? When he murders the young female character.
I think one of the reasons why the colour works so well, actually, because it wasn't intended for it to be all done on film. If they designed more sets, some of these sets later on, which are colour, it's overwhelming. But because it's all done on location, it's all much more natural colours, more sedate colours, wood panelling. I just noticed that the curtains in the hospital room, they'd never used those sort of curtains, except they were probably really hanging there. So you get much more natural colours, and it's much more sedate than something like the Terror of the Ortons will come, because that will explode with colour when that comes on.
Yeah. Well, I do love Terror of the Autons, but there's a completely different tone between these two stories, isn't there?
Yeah, Terror's more cartoonish to me. I
It
reckon
is,
this
yeah.
this one's got more of a film, like a film to it. Like it reminds me of a Hammer movie, to be honest.
It's very like a Hammer film, isn't it? Actually, and
Well, do we know why the this one was recorded on film?
yeah, because there was a strike in the studios, and so Sherwin either had the option of canning it or came with the idea that I can do it all in 16mm, and because
those cameramen were all in a different union, so they weren't striking.
is that right?
It wasn't just the cameraman, but yeah, that's what involved. But because the interesting thing is, of course, they'd done all their pre-filming before the serial started, and they were due to of course go build the sets, go into rehearsals.
Yeah.
But they were pretty sure strikes were going to happen, And so then they planned to film the second shot. So it's all filmed on film, but the plan should have been, because they actually did all the pre-filming sequences, to do what they normally did.
The strike was over by the time they started shooting this, but there was a backlog of things which took priority. Christmas shows which hadn't yet been filmed, and I think, controversially, the thing that took precedence over the slots for Spearhead from Space was the black and white minstrel show Christmas show. That was absolutely essential that they had to get that into the studio.
Yes.
Which knocked this off the roster.
So I believe Brian Hodgson's, who does all this new sounds, he designed 32 new sounds for this show.
Well,
so that, and many of them are still used today.
A genius, isn't he? Oh, the picture's gone funny.
Oh, what's happened?
Oh, yeah.
It's fine.
Yes,
I mean, and some of those sounds he designed for this we continue to hear. So the gun coming out, which we'll hear soon, but the beeping of the spheres. There's so many distinctive sounds that you just have to hear. You know exactly.
And they're perfect, aren't they? You know, the bleeping of the spheres, the sound of the auton, just the autons existing, which I think you were saying one of the disappointing things about Terror of the Autons, they don't use it in Terror of the Autons. This is beautiful the way this is shot with handheld camera here.
Handheld shaky camera before it became popular.
Yeah,
it's almost like they've got their mobile phones.
He's really good, Derek Martinez, isn't he?
Just wonderful.
The direction is just impeccable.
And in the background,
there's Channing in the background looking
slightly
as weird
Vaseline
as hell.
Yes.
Derek Martinez was around for quite a few epic stories, wasn't he? 10th Planet, he did that.
Yeah. Evil of the Daleks, and the Ice Warriors. First one's Galaxy 4, I think.
I thought it was
great.
Planet
Hugh Burton is
Giants.
Such a wonderful face. What did you say?
I thought Derek did Planet of Giants.
No, that was Douglas Camfield. There's Prentice Hancock with his first and by far best performance in Doctor Who. As one of the reporters there.
Such a minor role. It helps.
Well, it helps that it's minor.
Yeah.
Lovely tracking shot here. Love this shot. This is, of course, the massive gain of having film on location, isn't it? Because you wouldn't see a shot like that in the studio.
It's the first walk and talk before West Wing.
Probably the first walk and talk in Doctor Who. Probably the only one. That's our first proper sight of Pertwee's face there, isn't it?
Yes, it's still not very obvious or taken on. I do like those curtains.
Would you like those curtains in your house?
No, I wouldn't know. I just had this. It's such an interesting pattern.
They just remind. They look like curtains we had at my school. They're so early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. The orange and the yellow.
Yeah, I'm just looking. It's even a floral pattern on the bed dividers.
Oh, on the screen,
rather than plain white the screens. Yeah.
This scene often had me thinking about the stories that I hadn't seen at this point, all the black and white ones that were still potentially 10, 15 years away from me seeing for the first time. So, I had all that to discover. But, of course, there was the Target novel, so I had delved into those, but hadn't seen any of the black and whites at this point in my Doctor Who journey.
Well, of course, I didn't see this, as I say, until the VHS came out, which is 1988, and I read the time. It was just because the Auton invasion, Terence's first novelization, and I read it in 1975. So I knew the story intimately from the book for years. So a lot of these stories, they were a sort of curious, surreal shock seeing the actual episodes, having got to know them, so having imagined what the characters look like and imagining that the characters look like the illustrations in the books. Vivid idea of what Channing looked like, because there was a picture of him standing in the phone box bit
Yeah.
where you're much younger bloke with dark hair, and that we'll talk about
That
how I
picture
thought
right there. There you go.
There it is. Well
Yeah.
done. Very good.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Turning around. Yes,
Yep.
that's right. With a much more modern telephone kiosk.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way we'll talk about this, the way the Auton's wrists worked in the book, they do this. It's rather camp sort of drop down, rather than the hand,
Fingers drop off.
the fingers coming up.
Yeah.
That was
But
very
this was a
similar
very.
to me.
Say again.
I was gonna say that was very similar to me. I had read most of the books before I'd gotten to see any of the TV shows. So
yeah.
I was more familiar. Yeah, I had a
Yeah.
picture in my head of what they were, and
Absolutely from the books.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah,
This was a pleasant surprise, this one. Some of them were less pleasant surprise. I was very impressed with this when I first saw it. I think it was only the octopus at the end really was a letdown to me on first viewing.
Yeah, I think, yeah, me too. But I do think this was Terence's best translation of script to book.
There were some very good ones. I was listening to Katie reading The Three Doctors in the last week, and that's excellent because he really builds up the world, the antimatter world, and Omega's character is better described by Terence than acted by Stephen Thorne, I have to say.
It's Hugh Burden, isn't it? The actor?
Hugh Burden, yeah.
He's such a scary character in this.
Well, I think he's one of the best portrayed villains in the history of the program. Because
I think so too.
It's just such an uncanny performance.
I just love that bit of Vaseline on their face, though, just to give that sheen.
Yeah.
Who's he? 'Cause I don't know other things.
And it's probably one of the few times a bad toupee is a good idea, because there's something about that hairline which is so sort of weirdly synthetic that adds to the strangeness of Channing. That's it's called George Lee. He's in another Doctor Who story, another Pertwee era story. The Corporal. Any ideas what it is?
I recognise him.
I know.
I'll give you a
I've
clue,
seen him, but I just can't think.
I'll
who
give
it
you a
is.
clue. His last line in the other story is Londoners.
Londoners. Is he in the Green Death as well?
No, his first line is it's a country accent. It's Londoners. The first line, I'll give it away. He says, "So this is this is round about where that doodlebug came down, 1944." That ought to give it away. It's in episode 4, I think. So, why would it be ironic that a doodlebug had come down there in 1944 in a story set in the 70s?
Is that the Time Monster?
Very good. Yeah, well done, Philip. It's the Time Monster. He's the farmer who drags the TARDIS out of the pit after the incident with Mike Yates. I mean.
Right.
He also delivers the gnome in that episode of Faulty Towers, the builders, George.
That's where I recognise him from.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, Faulty Towers. That's yep, good.
Yeah, you recognise him now.
And he uses a word there that we may not be able to get away with anymore these days. With his insult to Manuel.
Oh, does
that
he?
actor? When he delivers the gnome, yeah.
What does he say? Well,
he calls him a bleep twit.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that now because I've forgotten the line.
It's amazing how little
business. Pardon?
I was just saying essentially how little they've given John Pertwee to do in this story. I mean, yeah, he's still playing a bit of a clown. Because I mean, of course, Joe Sheridan's original idea was he wanted to be a comedian, but yeah, the whole episode he hardly is in it at all. It's everything's happening around him.
No, but I think it's a nice sort of use of suspense, isn't it, or deferment of gratification that we don't get to know the Doctor at all in the first episode.
So their faces actually seem plastic, those guys.
Yeah,
I know.
Look
It's
at how
really
still
good,
their
really good
faces are.
makeup, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think some of these special effects still stand up today. Not all of them, but some of them do. And
I
the
agree.
makeups.
I
Yeah,
absolutely agree. I think it stands up terrifically well. This story.
I think it's better than
Great
CGI, to be
staggering
honest.
acting there.
Yeah. This is Pertwee. This is the first thing he shot. The escape in the wheelchair. This was the very first scene they shot.
I mean, John Pertwee didn't actually meet any of the cast until this first day on set in makeup. It was the first time he met Carol and John. You would have thought they would have brought them together beforehand or had a read through, but they just turned up on set and off they went.
Well, there you go. The first vehicle the third Doctor drives is a wheelchair.
It's a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not go into the controversies about wheelchairs.
Oh, yeah.
I was tempted, but I thought I'd just let it lie.
You know me, I can never
Just this once.
It's a good man in a wheelchair. How's that possible? Aren't all wheelchair users evil?
Let's drop it, shall we?
That was never convincing your body.
We've got probably one of the few comedy cliffhanger lines of all time here.
Who told you to fire? You stupid.
Oh, you stupid. The only cliffhanger that comes in to save the story from a swear word. Is it the C word or the T word? That's fantastic. Episode.
It's a great episode. I mean,
well, it's a great story, but I love the pace of the thing, and like as well as we say, we don't see the Doctor talk. We don't get to know him at all in the first episode, and that's a wonderful sort of withholding, isn't it?
Does bring you in. Bring you in.
But you've got that link of the Brigadier coming in and giving that sort of background for that. For anyone who's coming in new, because they could have been looking for a new audience back then.
Well, because you had
explaining unit.
The War Games had finished 6 months earlier. They hadn't even cast John Pertwee when the War Games had finished recording, and so that's why there's no handover to John Pertwee. Which of course means the fact that we know there's been another 3, 4, 5 seasons after the War Games where Patrick Troughton went on with other journeys before he finally got exiled to Earth.
Oh, is this season? What do you call it? 6B.
B.
6B.
6B.
Yeah.
Have you seen his regeneration? Because he did come back and do a fan made regeneration.
I have seen that. Yeah, on YouTube.
Yeah.
Can we stop and have a pee?
Yeah, let's do that. I was going to hang on for another episode.
You don't
but I'll
have to, but I would like one.
Okay.
Can I get that in?
Yeah, I think we should keep that in. Can we stop having a pee and we'll stop there?
Yeah.
Hey, Faith, do you like my new gun?
Dad, that's not a gun.
It isn't.
No, it's a screwdriver.
The bloke at the shop told me it was a gun.
Well, the guy at the shop was telling you Porky Pie's that.
Well, I'll be. I could have sworn that was a gun.
The Sirens of Audio. Screwing your Sonic since 2020. Excellent.
Ready to go for part 2?
Yep,
I'm absolutely raring to go.
All right, here we go with episode 2. I'll count you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
And we're back.
Yeah.
This is a landmark episode for me. This would be the first episode I ever saw because the cliffhanger for this episode is seared into my memory.
Yeah. It must have been, and particularly if you're only 2 or 3, it must have been absolutely flipping terrifying.
It was. I'm just starting to get over my fear of mannequins now.
Well, Dwayne, tell us, so when was the first time you saw this?
Well, I was actually in hospital. I was about 3 or 4. And so it must have been a repeat because I'm not as old as this. And my dad used to come in after work every day and watch this with me, because that was the time when it was just repeated regularly. Was there a time in the 70s, Philip, it was on at 6, or it was always
Yes.
6:30, wasn't it?
No, it was on at 6 for a while as well.
For
And there
my
was- and
generation, it
Could have been then.
was
6:30
5:30
by
for mine. I think it was 5:30 when we did get a TV and they replayed. It was always Tom Baker. They replayed, so I was quite familiar with his stories, and it was always 5:30. We'd get home, and 5:30
Well, that
was
sounds
Doctor
like the
Who.
afternoon show to me.
It
That's
was
like
the
late
afternoon
80s.
show. Yeah, it was. It was
Hmm.
it was the afternoon show. So late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
So, Chris, when was the first time you saw this show?
I actually do think it was Spearhead from Space that I've got a memory of, and I think it would have been a repeat, and I think it's episode 4 when the Doctor and Unit are standing on that staircase,
Yeah.
and then
At the
The
machine.
factory.
yep, in the factory, and then he goes up because when you mentioned the squid at the end with the eye, I've got
Yeah.
a memory of that flashed in my mind too with John running up the stairs and going into the room and seeing that star. So I'm pretty sure it was episode 4 of Spearhead from Space. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say, who was it? There's a writer who said to be born English is to win first prize in the lottery of life. I always think to be born Australian is to win first prize in the lottery of Doctor Who fandom, because you were able to see these stories that we longed to see were never repeated here. And then we became aware that famous letter in the Doctor Who magazine, Doctor Who Monthly, somebody complaining that they were getting repeats of Planet of the Spiders and Towns of Wang Chang, and they wanted to see the Davison stories. And all the English fans going, what? They get to see the Pertwee and Hinchcliffe stories, which were utterly inaccessible to us. And then that gradual realization that we could get tapes from Down Under, which of course, we all started to do. This is one of the greatest cuts from, he says, there was something weird about their faces of the photo of Channing, and then the cut to the weirdness of that factory and the dolls.
With the dolls. Yeah, brilliant.
Weird about their faces. And this is such a
There you go.
shocking, that's terrifying.
Creepy
They are
as.
terrifying.
And we've got the Fleetwood Mac song here, which is almost immediately contemporary.
She's wearing that curtain that you like so much.
You like the look at that
Those little
frock,
fashions.
Philip?
Yeah. I
In
remember
fact, I think
being
that was my
fascinated
parents'
to see-
other bedspread.
Yeah. My
I
parents
loved
had
watching this
similar
being
one.
made because I thought it's just fascinating seeing how they did all this and they put the hair in, and it's a fascinating little place that is terrifying. So how
But
I
the
think we were
music
all
was
young.
also eerie.
Yes, we must have all been much younger than you, Stephen, when we saw this. Because what year
Oh,
did
yeah,
you
I
first
was
see this?
20 when I saw this.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah,
I would have seen it.
1988.
I would have seen it 5 or 6 times by that stage.
Yeah, so we've seen it before you.
Going into W.H. Smith's in one sunny afternoon in 1988, and the sheer impossible excitement of seeing the VHS on, because we didn't get prior warning.
Just look at her creepy face.
I know,
So-
brilliant, isn't
so
it? That
creepy.
makeup is
Yeah.
superb, because without it being a mask, it does look like it's made of plastic, doesn't it?
They've done a really good job. Yeah. They did
Yeah.
a really good
He's-
job.
And
Channing's
Hugh
hair
Burden
is
is just
amazing.
the
And you see how
weirdest looking-
Channing's a step up. He's
Yeah.
he's not quite as shiny as the others, but he has
No.
that. He manages to pull off being even scarier than everybody else.
And he is good old John Woodnutt. Is this his first performance in Doctor Who?
I believe it is. Makes
I
a great
think it
companion
is.
later on.
What do you have, 4? Oh no, 5 was it? So he was in this, then he was in Frontier in Space, then he was in
Yeah.
Revenge of the Cybermen.
He's
and
not in
Keep
Revenge of
Track.
the Cybermen.
And Terror of the Zygons.
Terror of the Zygons.
He's not.
He's not in. He is in Terror of the Zygons. He's not in Revenge of the Cybermen.
Oh, I'm thinking of Kevin Stoney as a
Yeah.
returning
You are.
He's in Keeper
regular
of
cast
Traken.
member.
Is he?
As
Who is it? The Keeper Trial? He's one of the.
Theron.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of some of his lines from. He was at this time. There's a really creepy line here. Is it this that? Stay away from there, John. That's so sinister, and the way it's shot there reminds me. There was a series called The Boy from Space. It was a school's program called The Boy from Space, where John Woodnutt played this alien. It's impossible to describe because it would take too long, but it absolutely terrified me as a child, and he was so sinister in it. Those contemporaries of mine would know exactly what I'm talking about. Terrified a generation.
It's interesting how the Nestines can just look at you and put your neck out
and give you a bit of neck ache. Yeah,
yeah, that's it.
I mean, the film is wonderful, but it's still being filmed on multi-camera because even though it's on film, there's 3 cameras filming all the scenes. So they still managed to do some multi-camera filming at the same time just to keep it moving along.
Sorry, they didn't. It's not single camera.
No, it's 3 cameras.
Oh right, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That music,
Rob Shearman. Sorry.
That music, so 70s. It's just I've heard that music, that da music in so many different shows. It reminded me of Spider-Man actually, the Nicholas Courtney,
Okay.
not Nicholas Courtney, Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man. They use that music in that too.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very much of its time, isn't it? But Dudley is. It's interesting because we're so used to hearing the synth stuff, particularly from the Terror of the Auton season, from season 9, and then the later amalgamation of the little group of instruments he used late Pertwee into Tom Baker. But it's interesting that this is a completely different score, isn't it? You wouldn't know it was Dudley Simpson if you didn't know that it was. It sounds totally different from his later stuff.
So many of his scores are very different. He does actually change a lot.
He's remarkable. It gets samey later on, I think, when he's got probably too much on his plate when he's doing Blake 7 and Doctor Who. There's a lot of similarity between the music, between stories then. But there are little moments in this where you can hear pre-echoes of later scores, like the use of the cello in the scenes we've just seen reminds me very much of the use of the cello in Brain of Morbius.
Yeah.
That sort of very, very melancholy, plangent, sinister, and very beautifully played, actually. Cello that mixed with those late 60s flutes, mystery flutes.
Yeah. And another change that happened here with the music too is up until now, Dudley would always compose the music beforehand. It would be played into studio. And so, but with this, because it was filmed on film and all edited beforehand, he got to sit down and actually compose the music to the actual edit. And I think that really does enhance the music score.
Yeah.
By
It
being able
can't
to
help but no, can it?
that change of technology.
There's a particular music cue in this, which we'll come to later on, which it reminds me of a particular one from Ambassadors of Death, which of course is his next story after this, isn't it? Because Cary Blanton does the song.
Some lovely flute stuff. So the first time I would have seen this, I would have been 9 years old, and I would have started watching through Tom Baker. We got to the end of Talons of Wing Chiang, and then the next day it went to episode 1, Spirit from Space, and I had no idea what was going on. Like, why did the Doctor just change?
That's right. Didn't you say in another podcast that you thought that John Pertwee came after Tom Baker?
Yes, yeah,
and then
for a
you
long
were
time.
confused when you
Here we
saw
go.
Planet of the. This is the first
sighting
shot,
of
isn't it?
a
That shot was the shot that scared Mark Elstob more than any other in the history of Doctor Who. That crash zoom onto the first sight of the Auton. He said it was just absolutely terrifying. It's interesting that you know the story so well you forget. That's the audience's first sight of an Auton, isn't it? That crash zoom shot in
It
the
is.
woods.
But what appeals to me about this scene too is that I used to spend my childhood school holidays at my grandmother's place in out in Western New South Wales at Bathurst. Philip knows where that is. Not far from where he's got some property out there. And and the house was very much like that. There was a house there called the Bungalow that the family had. So I've spent a lot of time in a place exactly like this. So just being able to relate to that place and put it in here, it just made it even more real to me. So very, very spooky stuff.
Yeah. It's called Wheelbarrow Cottage. That house there.
Is it gone now, or is it still there?
Don't know. Be interesting to see. go and visit it in
I'm sure
Essex.
the roof has
period?
been
That'd be
replaced by
Tudor?
now.
How old is it?
It's Tudor, isn't it?
It looks
Looks like
it
it
looks
looks
pretty
Tudor.
old, doesn't it? It's 16th,
The
17th.
sound effects for the laboratory here have been used before. I think they might have been in either 10th Planet or the War Machines.
What the
No, hang on.
ambience of the
Oh,
room?
No. It was the Enemy of the World. That's what it was.
Okay.
In the underground place that Salamander had all his people working for him.
That's the sound of
Down
that room as
underground.
well, is it? Right.
Yep.
Yeah, these actual locations work so well, don't they? The feel that you're actually in a real place.
Yeah. And the sound,
Although
too,
that's
the
not to
echo.
denigrate later. It's interesting this because the set designer for this is Paul Allen, and you wonder. I suppose he was just dressing the sets, wasn't he? What other stories did Paul Allen do? Anybody know?
No idea.
Particularly good one in Tom Baker era, which was a challenge because it was in a different studio. Another problematic story.
Well, the horror Fang Rock.
Horror
Horror
Fang
Fang
Rock.
Rock, yeah. Fang Rock.
My favorite.
One of
that's a
my
brilliant
top
set.
favorites as well. I love Horror Fang Rock. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Yeah.
watched it
It's Graham
all
Williams.
the time.
Yeah. It's one of Tom's best.
You love all the death, do you?
Well, if you don't like death, you're watching the wrong program, really, aren't you?
Here's one. So he also did the Seeds of Death?
He also did the season. Did you just look that up?
I did.
Yeah, he did. I think those are the three that Paul Allen did. He did loads of light entertainment. You'd see his name a lot on things like the Two Ronnies, I think, and he did a lot of
And
light
Blake
entertainment.
7. Blake 7 too, did quite a bit of Blake 7.
He did 2 episodes of Blake 7 or 3. Was it 3 in series 2? I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. This is
this what the true British fans do if they go and get their photo taken in this shower?
in the Duc d'Orléans shower.
You actually see quite a bit of Bond, don't you? Like,
Yeah, that is far more
The whole
naked
tan
than
line
I
there,
ever
you
want
see.
to see the Doctor. You know, I really don't want to know about the Doctor's nether regions. Thank you very much. This is Henry McCarthy, who is the father of an actress called Maggie McCarthy that I worked with several times, who's one of Maureen O'Brien's best friends, his daughter, Maggie McCarthy. And she looks rather like her dad, unfortunately for her.
so how many naked doctors do we see? We see Matt Smith in The Lodger. What other doctors do we
I
see?
think I'd rather see Matt Smith naked than most of the others, but I don't, you know, as a principle, I'd rather not
There's
see
the
anyone
Mara
naked.
again.
Yeah, another
Oh,
Mara
yeah.
son, yeah.
That's right. That was a drunken night when he was on HMS Hood. I think it was his birthday that happened. You see, although people talk about the comedy, I think he's not overdoing this.
No.
You know,
Well,
I
he
think
wanted to
he
play him
didn't like it
serious.
himself. I think
He wanted to play it straight.
Yeah,
And
but I think
basically did.
he's keeping it within the bounds. You know, it's not too clownish.
Yeah.
Good prop, that isn't it? Oh, they look so great. And there's
really do.
a reverse crash zoom there, which is equally effective.
And I much prefer those Autons to the terror of the Autons.
Yep.
Quite a design change.
Well,
That's-
let's not diss
much
Terror of the
always
Autons, 'cause
preferred this one.
at the moment it's my favourite story as of this week. But it changes
Well, only the
from week to
design.
week.
I'm not dissing the story.
Well, we
Actually,
don't
speaking of the
see-
story, is this a complete? Is it a complete, or well, almost a complete rip-off of this with just the addition of the Master? Because Robert Holmes is reusing the plastics factory story, the
No.
disgruntled
No, it's not
person coming
because
back.
he works so many innovations on the idea of menacing plastic. You know, having Googe. Well, that's the Master's tissue compression, but having Googe in the lunchbox. But the chair that eats you, the killer policeman. Obviously, the brilliant idea of the Daffs are dangerous. You know. And that's such a wonderfully sadistic idea of it suffocating you with the plastic over the face. It's a horrible idea. And when it happens to Joe, it's brilliantly shot and played as well. And the telephone wire. I just like to go because there's not a lot of different plastic bad stuff in this. So it's just the Autons, isn't it? And I suppose the waxwork notion, but. No,
I was just thinking,
it
just
goes through
imagine
every
if you were
conceivable
around.
permutation. Say again?
Just imagine if you were around back then and you'd seen the last 3 stories before this. What was it? Seeds of Death, the Space Pirates,
Space Pirates.
and the War
The
Games,
war games.
and then gone into this.
Yeah.
It's a completely different program, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Totally different.
You would also, at that time, have spent, if you were a kid and a sci-fi fan, you'd have spent every Saturday between the end of the War Games and this watching the first showings of Star Trek, which had just been bought, and that filled the slot on the Saturday nights between the end of the War Games and this. So interesting how that would have affected a child's perspective at that time. But yes, there's a contrast between one sort of Doctor and another. It couldn't be bigger. It's probably the biggest.
Watch this scene. I think this is.
I love this.
Such a good scene. It's beautifully filmed.
such a new sort of scene in Doctor Who, isn't it? Because it's so realistic. And blood, we see blood for the first. I love the spinning camera. And the crash, the
cheaper than crashing a car.
Yeah, and that's really horrible, isn't it, for the time?
Yeah, black and white wouldn't be too bad.
Well, I think it would still be quite horrific, but yes, the fact that we can see the red of the blood, and that's pretty nasty smash into the screen, though, isn't it? Is this the first time we see the factory room? It is, isn't it?
Yes,
It is, yeah.
It is.
Could have been a better reveal than that. Just
Yeah, he's great Martinez, but occasionally you think that there's one or two missed opportunities, aren't there? But maybe there's something quite nice about just suddenly, finding ourselves in there. Adds to the realism. Back to St. Pancras. Oh, this is the Derek show in open-mouthed bit, isn't it? Brilliant. And the first proper scene for Pertwee, and it's just absolutely magnificent.
Yeah,
he's just immediately.
And now he's casual and laid back. So authority, he's cranky and orderly and pushy. And now he comes in. It's Brigadier. He's laid back. He's casual. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, as if he owns the place.
Yeah. So what do you think about his costume? Was it the right look for the Third Doctor?
It couldn't be better. I mean, for me, the all black is because my first memory is the Sea Devils, and it was repeated. The only story that was repeated twice. In my mind's eye, he always looks like that. That is the to use the overused word, iconic look for the Third Doctor, as far as I'm concerned. In the very dark jacket, if it's midnight blue or black or whatever it is, and the cape. That's what he's supposed to look like. I mean, I love him in other costumes, but no, that's the Third Doctor to me.
And apparently the clothes designer Christine Rawlings based it on what he wore for one of his Meet the Press days.
Well, the story is that is his grandfather's clubber, wasn't it? That he wore to one of the press photo shoots, and then the costume was based on that.
He just referred to the Delphons using their eyebrows to communicate. I just thought it's one planet that Big Finish could never go to.
Oh, God. Why? Because you can't show eyebrow communication on radio.
That's right.
You'd struggle with it.
They probably find a way if you suggest it to them. Don't mention it to Nick Briggs, because there'll be a whole set of box sets about the Delphons. I
just love the rapport these two have straight away. Just the way she leans into him.
Immediately.
She laughs his jokes. The Brigadier is very much on the outer, where she's just naturally there. Yeah. But that being said, she's the most mature companion he's had since Barbara. Because, up until then, I mean, all the other female companions have been girls.
Well, yeah, she's the only mature companion he's had since Barbara.
Yeah.
If you don't count Sarah Kingdom, I suppose.
When you look at all those characters, they are all seething with confidence. They are just all assured in who they are, and they just want to just get on with the story and interact. Yeah, this is the scene coming up that
scared the hell out of
me
you
for years.
Yeah,
and
it
years.
would do.
Yeah,
it would do. And the people have sometimes been critical of Derek Smee here but I think his expressionistic fear is brilliant and.
Do you mean because they say he overacts?
He overacts. I love it what he does.
No, I disagree.
I just think it's
I think
really, really effective.
That's
melodrama.
what makes it scary.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's the set from The Invasion.
Yes. It's interesting how many similar shots that it's a different director, but they still use very similar shots.
Probably there is a limited number of angles you could shoot that bit from in that sort of alleyway. I love this. This is so sort of what I call post-nuclear industrial Gothic, the sort of the Quatermass world of frightening industrial complexes and the Gothic of the factory. Scary technology, but sort of surreal. Stay away from there, John.
Have crowbar, will travel.
Now, how's he going to get a crowbar into the little...
Or as...
But anyway.
Who calls it a pry bar? Does Tegan call it a pry bar?
I don't know.
A pry bar. In some story. Am I imagining that?
Possibly.
All the Australians have gone very quiet. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It's just this scene is just so eerie. It is. You got the music going over the background. You got the Auton standing there. He's just incredulous, doesn't know what's about to come. It is just one of the most perfect build-ups to a cliffhanger, I think, ever. But I speak from a 2-3-year-old's point of view when I say that.
No, but when we've had the cliffhanger, I'll tell you something similar about my son.
You got the rattle going in the music.
Yeah, it's superb.
And his face.
It's a ratchet. It's a ratchet.
His face just
I
sells
love that face because it's so extreme, but it adds to the horror of it, doesn't it?
It's interesting having a cliffhanger on a character that's not the Doctor or main character, but to go for one of the subsequent new characters who've been brought in. Like, who really cares? But anyhow.
Well, I think you instantly care about, you instantly identify with whoever's being menaced in Doctor. I certainly did as a kid. I didn't, but it was the scary moment that was the scary thing, not necessarily who was being menaced by it.
I guess when you get used to 14 episodes on Collins Baker's face as being the cliffhanger, someone different's a bit weird.
As I've never sat through the whole of Trial of a Time Lord yet, I don't quite know what you're talking about.
You've not watched all the Trial of a Time Lord?
Oh, I must have done at some point, but I've sort of tried to forget about it. Can I have another pee? I've been drinking coffee since 5 o'clock in the morning. Right.
Yeah, go on then.
It's all very well to make these demands, but Doctor Who fans already have a plethora of podcasts to choose from.
I created the show you host on your platforms. I have a right to the subscription.
I'm well aware of that, great podcaster. I would willingly get this fan to write 1,000 reviews if Apple Podcasts allowed it.
And I would write them willingly.
You see how devoted we are. But you'd get very little for him writing a review or subscribing. And I would be without a good anorak. Good anoraks are very hard to find.
I do not wish to hear any more from your prattling tongue. Forgive me. I need more subscribers. I cannot reach more audience without them.
We'll do our best for you. I'm sure Anorak can engage in a little creative bot activity on your behalf.
I already do, madam. I'm a past master at the double entry.
Then you must make it triple. You heard what audiophile said. He needs the subscribers.
Do not call me by my name on an open channel!
I'm so sorry, great podcaster. Such is my enthusiasm for your cause, my tongue sometimes speaks what my mind would not dare to think. Please accept my apologies.
I would sooner accept your subscription.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
You're
5.
only allowed 3
4.
edits, you know,
Shut up.
I'll blow the budget. Okay, here we go with episode 3. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're off.
when my son Sam was a little boy, my ex wouldn't let him watch Doctor Who, but she allowed me to show him the old stuff. And so I thought, I know what I'll do. I will start him on Spearhead from space, and we'll create the illusion that John Pertwee is now once again Doctor Who. So I was able to vicariously relive my childhood. And the first thing, his first response was to say, the scary music. Which was a perfect first response, and I'd never forget his fear, his thrilled fear at the cliffhanger to this episode.
This is a different camera angle to what we finished with.
It probably is, yeah, slightly. I didn't have a settee in the room I was showing it to him, but I had a swivel chair, and he used to run behind the swivel chair. Look out behind the swivel chair. Oh yeah, that's what they do. They do hide behind furniture, don't they? That is a different angle, isn't it? It's a different.
It is completely shot because his face wasn't his face wasn't quite as dramatic.
No. And they're frighteningly agile as well, these Autons. Second.
This scene, the phrase "spine tingling," I still remember the feeling of tingles going down my spine with these scenes. And there's a violin bit coming up where the Auton looks almost depressed. See, Channing looks up. Hear the violin there?
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, I know,
yep.
and it's
so creepy.
Sheepish. Yes, it is. It is. It's brilliant.
But it's a cello, but yes,
it is a cello, isn't it? It's
okay.
in the upper register. It's upper register of the cello, but it's cello.
Surprises me that Colin Baker's season gets such a bad rap for being violent when actually John Pertwee's era is actually quite violent as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, Doctor Who's
quite
supposed
more
to be
so,
violent.
to be honest. Yeah.
There's a little gag there, a Robert Holmes gag about automated creatures not going on strike, which of course is ironic considering it was a strike that affected this story, and of course we're going into the decade of strikes.
And of course, Robert Holmes would go on to be, probably one of the best loved and best known authors in Doctor Who stories. But it's interesting that the whole new kick-off an era is trusted to him in terms of the last thing just done was the Space Pirates. Now, that being said, the Space Pirates has a really bad reputation amongst fans, but we haven't seen it. So I'm curious to know, is it actually a lot better than we think it is? Because the whole production company trusted someone who wrote the Crotons and the Space Pirates to kick off the whole new era. So they obviously had a lot of trust in him. So perhaps the Space Pirates is actually far better
it's
than
interesting, isn't
we know
it?
it.
Obviously, with hindsight, we know that he went. But for me, he is heads above pretty much all the other writers. He's my favorite writer of it. But yeah, you wouldn't know that he was going to be so great from those two stories, would you? Although his wife Patricia said that the Space Pirates was the best Doctor Who he ever wrote.
Okay.
Pat Holmes was a big fan of it. I love this is really good.
This couple,
their sort of their gruesome relationship and her morbidity. So right off, she reminds me of my mother, who there was a serial killer called Fred West. Have you heard of Fred West?
Yes, the Wests.
And my mother became so morbid about it, and she'd ring me up and she'd go, "They found another one." I knew exactly what she was talking about.
I mean, we don't know how many. There's not a lot of married couples in Doctor Who, but the examples of them really aren't that great. Can I just say, I don't think I do like his acting. I think it is just overly over the top every time.
No, I like this.
I go with it.
Everybody else is so natural, and he's always just a bit too much.
But
I
that
like
face,
this too much.
what he's doing there is how I felt about the autons and mannequins in general for years to come. That's pretty much how I felt on the inside.
Isn't that prop on the left? Sorry to interrupt. Isn't that in Troughton Stories? That thing. That isn't that.
There's a few there that have reappeared.
Isn't it in the
places.
Space Museum?
Yes, I think it first appears there.
I think it's in the.
It's minus its cover. Well. It's got a plastic. You should have a plastic cover that they've taken off.
Yeah, but it is that prop, isn't it? Yeah, I agree with you. Derek Smee somehow sort of channels sheer Doctor Who terror as Ransom.
I do think if I'd been directing, I would have said, "Pull it back a bit, mate. Just pull it back
a little bit less, Derek." No, I wouldn't want
it work, but just put it back a bit.
But he is probably the most frightened character ever in the whole history of Doctor Who, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he can't drink, he's probably wet himself, so yeah, it's not a good state.
I know how he feels. She bought some spectacles.
Is that the first mention of dimensionally transcendental?
It is. There's various firsts in this. Two hearts, dimensionally transcendental, dematerialization codes. I mentioned for the first time. Thinking this.
Typical Robert Holmes, just add to the Time Lord lore.
Yeah.
I must admit that paint job of the TARDIS, I do love it. It's totally battered and it looks really good.
It seems to have been painted since the woods. It looks like a different paint job from. It's a different shade of blue.
It may be actually. It'd be interesting to see.
I think they've painted it between one location and another.
Ooh, I never said that.
He's called Neil Wilson. This he doesn't look like a Neil to me. He looks like a Reg or a Derek.
It's the Como over the desert.
He's in A Clockwork Orange he's a security guard at the prison when Malcolm McDowell goes to prison. That's the only other thing I've ever seen him in.
The poacher, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Neil Wilson, his name is. This is
I calls him.
He talks like my uncle.
Does he?
Yeah, my uncle talks like that. Yeah, I can't understand him sometimes. So.
Is he from the old country?
Speak in a southeast English dialect. Is this an Australian version of the?
No. My uncle lives in near Salisbury, Porton.
Does he? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's country. Yeah, he's country.
Yeah.
And he sounds like that.
That's what Terence said. I need subtitles to understand what that character said. I can't understand a bloody word.
Yeah.
And then somebody told a story about how it might have been Nick Briggs about how Terence was at an American convention. He said, I'm not getting any laughs here. I'm not getting any laughs at all. I keep making humorous remarks and anecdotes. Nobody's laughing. And they said, yeah, because they don't understand a word you're saying. Terence. So a little bit of irony about his incomprehension of Sam Seeley. He's calmed down a bit, hasn't he, Derek?
Yeah, but they're taking him away from the tent, but don't they put him back in the tent?
Well, he gets killed in the tent.
They do.
That's what I thought. Okay, I'd forgotten they'd take him away from the tent. Take him to the Brigadier's office. He must have only just moved in. It's very sparse, that office, so he must have just moved in recently. Yeah. Also, they stay in this base very long. I do like their golden ties.
Yeah, but the best golden tie of all in Doctor Who is Roger Delgado's in Terror of the Autons, isn't it? That's just with the suit.
Is that sort of like a lab coach is supposed to be wearing, but for a miniskirt?
I've never given it any thought. I'll have another look next time.
Yeah, I was just looking at the top. How it looks like a scientific jacket, but then there's no link to it at all. Yes, I'm still impressed by how subtle all the colours are. There's splashes of red around, but it's not like it's going to get later on, like Batman time, when everyone just goes crazy primary colours everywhere.
Well, the colours look more garish on videotape, don't they? In the studio.
Yep. There's a real blue to that jacket. I hadn't realised.
Yeah, he never wears a black jacket. It's always midnight blue. I used to think it was black, but it's blue. Yeah, I much prefer the TARDIS battered to brand spanking new. Yeah,
Yeah,
like the Matt Smith era.
The current one. Yeah.
I see her jacket over her dress.
I think that's just a
No,
that's not a lab coat, is it? It's got a brooch on it.
Yeah, and look at the collar, and it's got that big belt. No, that's not a lab coat.
No.
Okay. I know Carolyn John complained that the outfit she was given was very cold to wear, so maybe they decided. Yeah, they gave her a jacket to wear on top.
Cold actresses, aren't they?
Well, they stick them in tiny dresses with no padding. They make it to wear long pants, long sleeves.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Louise had the worst job out of that then.
Oh yeah,
her costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I sympathise with wearing that in the cold. Yeah. That is almost naked, isn't it? Yes, Caroline John bought a pair of specs in Ipswich where she lived because she thought that they would make her look scientific, and Derek Martinez said no, it was too obvious for her to wear glasses.
Yeah, well, putting a miniskirt, that won't be obvious. Exactly what a scientist would be wearing.
Yeah.
Forget the science, darling. You're here for the sex. Yeah. This is the only scene I think Pertwee slightly overdoes in this story, if ever, in fact, ever. There's something a little bit Wurzelish about the facial expressions. And this sort of petulance is more sort of Troughton-esque or something. I think he's going for something that doesn't fit with anything he ever does in any other scene. It's the only bit I don't quite buy in the whole era, apart from a couple of gurning moments, like with the octopus and the telephone wire.
Oh, the telephone wire is the one that's the one I was thinking of.
With the gurning faces.
Yes, I don't like them. That the only
it doesn't happen, but it's very quick.
He gurns in The Mind of Evil as well. He gurns in a few shows.
It was The Mind of Evil as well. That's the other one I just saw the other night, and Terror of the Autons. When he does that face, doesn't work.
When does he do it in The Mind of Evil? When he's imagining being burned?
Yeah, when the
being attacked,
the Keller machine's attacking him. Yeah,
the end of episode 1, is it?
I think so.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, was he attacked? I thought somebody else was attacked episode 1. I thought it was episode 2.
No,
it is 1. Is it?
No, I think it's 2. One is the other guy.
That's what I thought.
Mental guy. Yeah.
Okay.
My cliffhangers. I'm pretty good with them.
That's a great comb over, that, isn't it? That is a fantastic comb over.
He must have done it though, because
worth a bit of money,
his
I reckon.
hair that's actually that long. I mean, so he must actually grow it long enough to do that. So that must almost be one of his looks.
That's how Neil Wilson wore his hair, presumably.
Oh, was it with the comb over?
I think so.
No one was suspecting.
It doesn't look like a piece to me. It looks real.
I agree.
This is great. This stuff. This is great. This sequence and this fisheye lens that he's used here is just so strange on the two of them. Another nice reverse crash zoom. And the music, it's really,
Notice
really
the
good.
Auton's tracking sound is like a football whistle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And actually, I hadn't realised they actually made their costumes long to hide the fact that they had the extension arms on them. So all the costumes have been made for all the Autons to fit their extra arms, extra hand.
Because it doesn't look like it's extended, does it? It looks natural.
Mm.
Yes, man, sir. It's found one of the meteorites. Where is it? At his house, sir. I was about to take a party and collect it.
Right, it'll go in my car. You know the way, Monroe?
Yes, sir.
Oh, Mr. Ransom, would you mind staying here?
I wonder if they actually pitched a tent for this scene, or whether it's just dressed and it's kind of.
It's dressed. It's actually inside. It's not outside. It's actually inside.
No, you can see that those aren't outside.
There's the walls
They're
behind
not
the trees.
outside, are they? Look.
There's a wall. Yeah.
But they have actually laid grass down inside because it is grass in there.
Mm.
But yeah, it'd be in a building somewhere. It's a bit like what's the circus one with Sylvester McCoy?
Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Show the Galaxy, because that's all a tent they've set up and filmed inside, which is another strike.
Now, tell me,
adapted.
that is a human doing that dog voice, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I've always thought it sounds like somebody doing a dog voice.
Yeah, because they have to do the death of the dog, so they can't get a real
it's
dog
too
to
on
do that.
cue, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's two things. I was just saying, there's two things here. There's all that smashing inside.
Yeah.
In my head, my memory is the fact that all sorts of things were smashed and destroyed, which once again they don't show. It's all just sound effects. Because the other one
we see it having been smashed later, don't we? We see the aftermath. That is really frightening, and the fact that she thinks it's an ordinary bloke until he turns around.
Yeah.
Does she say, "My husband's a man," you know? Is that what she says?
About, I think.
About.
Oh, about. I always heard her say, "My husband's a man," you know, and it always confused me. Of course he's a man.
Ahead of its time.
Brace your feet before you fire. Watch the kickback. Not too high now.
Are you familiar with firearms, Philip?
It wasn't her firing the gun.
No, it wasn't her firing the gun. Oh, we have a few guns on the farm.
Right.
I
love John Woodnut looking completely bewildered. It's like, what am I doing here?
Now, is she dead?
No, she's not. They say they don't they? They say she's just unconscious when they arrive later on. She should be dead,
we don't see the smashed up place, but it feels like it's smashed up just from this angle.
We see that.
No, we do. We go into it later on.
We do. When the brigadier and the doctor go in later, we see the table over and everything, don't we? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the bit of the sound music cue that reminds you of Ambassador of Death, which goes bang suddenly when there's at the end of a scene. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep.
He does it a few times in this story. It's only in Ambassadors that he does it another time. Here they are.
So much like my grandmother's furniture. Yeah, don't talk to just start shooting. That's the way. Just shoot, no matter what.
What's happened? Kenny!
He's so believable, isn't he, Channing? Hugh Burton is such a strange, intense performance.
He's doing a very good job, yeah.
And he's not. This weird sort of.
To be honest, when I first saw it, I didn't realize he was an auton. I thought he was
a taken over person.
Yeah, exactly. Like like the guy on the left.
Yeah. That he's actually a Nestine. Yeah. But it's so completely believable. It's not. It doesn't look like acting. It's very, very. Particular strange intensity to it. Pertwee immediately handling the science stuff so deftly.
Yeah. Because what by coincidence this happens to be the most important one of all the sets.
Say again?
That happens to be the most important one of all of them. I'd love that cut.
I love that, yeah, and total destruction. It's brutal, isn't it?
Oh, he even had flames on his shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been good to have got one more reaction from him, because just the...
Oh, a minute ago. You've changed your tune. A minute ago, you were doing too much. Now you want more.
Oh, no, but he's been doing so much. It would have been good to see...
He can do no right for you, can he, poor old Derek Smee?
Okay. The inevitability of the fact that he was about to die would have been good to see. That this is the thing he's been fleeing. Yeah, exactly. Directed by me, there would have been a shot of his face with the inevitability. I mean, it would have been badly acted, but the inevitability of the fact of I'm going to die. Like, I can't believe this is happening now. I thought I was safe, and now all gone.
I love the fact that after the long protracted scene with Betty Bowden, the wife, then suddenly we have that quick and brutal killing. So the changes of pace in the story are extraordinary.
But once again, see, Robert Holmes won't kill women, and that's why.
Sorry,
nearly all the
he
stories
won't kill women. What about
No,
Talons of Weng Chiang?
Well, yeah, true. Actually, mass murders. Yeah, serial killing with prostitutes is different. But I mean, a large reason why he doesn't put in.
Can I quote you on that?
So just coming that shot. That shot is just amazing through the glass.
I know it's one of the greatest shots of all time with the fluted glass. Isn't it?
Just a slow pull away.
It's just such a winner. It's so weird.
But part of the reason why Robert Holmes doesn't put women, and so you have so many shows with just Sarah as the only female in the entire cast, is the feeling that women shouldn't be killed off, and so they're very hesitant.
Isn't that the fact there's hardly ever any women in Doctor Who anyway, apart from the companion? They to get killed.
Well, a large part of it is they just don't feel they can kill women off.
All right. Okay. Well, that's an interesting. I'll have to think about that. That's an interesting thesis. I love the fact that Pertwee's found a pillar. Pertwee likes a pillar to lean on. There's a pillar in the middle of the unit lab in Terror of the Autons that he likes to lean on as well.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to start, look through the history of, when women started being killed off in television, as opposed to children, because there was a time in which you always knew children wouldn't be killed, but now they're quite happy to kill off children as well. So it's sort of a rare, a slow change in television standards and even probably movies where you allow different people to die at what stages.
I'm gonna have to think about it. Go through all the female deaths in Robert Holmes stories.
Well, so just to the whole Hinchcliffe era, there's just so few.
Well, again, as I say, there's so few women.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. But as I say, I suspect the part of that is just the feeling that you shouldn't kill them. There's a nasty female death in the Trial of the Time Lord by a woman, a comedy actress, little red-haired
very
woman.
nasty, isn't it?
Is that Joan Sims?
Yes,
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She gets a dreadful death.
We've had some rather strange reports about that factory. Nothing at all. No, perfectly normal.
This is Hamilton Dice, who is a splendid character actor, played a whole range of vicars and magistrates and military men.
And we're about to get another cliffhanger that's not one of the main characters.
Yeah.
So the only cliffhanger in this whole show was the first one where the Doctor gets shot.
Of course, when it came out on VHS, there were no cliffhangers, so it was all like watching a film.
The omnibus, wasn't it? Is that what you call it? The ominous package?
Yeah, omnibus.
Ominous, yeah.
See, I had this on VHS because I taped it off the TV. So I didn't buy it when it first came out, which was a good thing because it was unbelievably expensive.
Yeah.
The VHS when they came out in Australia, but I'd already recorded. I'd recorded everything when we got our VHS machine in 1985. I've still got lots of them.
Because I didn't realise until, I can't remember, it must have maybe around about the time they started then reissuing the VHSs that they'd made omnibuses of. I just assumed that the cliffhanger sting was in all the Pertwee stories. So it was a surprise. And I thought, oh, right, they haven't got the cliffhanger sting yet, because that starts in Ambassador of Death, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So it's odd, isn't it, a Pertwee story without the cliffhanger sting.
There you go, 3 episodes down, 1 more to go.
I think it's time for another P. Whether you like it or not.
One day, you will subscribe. Yes, you will subscribe. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties.
just click the notification bell and write us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. All right, fellas, let's do the final episode. And I'll count down once again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Episode 4, Spearhead from Space.
Excellent.
I can't believe how fast those three episodes have gone, actually.
They do. They keep you in gripped in as well. So
Yeah, they do.
It does go very fast.
And there's on the sort of the fatal thing of being sucked into it and not talking because you're actually watching it. You know.
Yeah.
This is also an episode that's seared into my young childhood because the shop window dummy scene.
Well, the shop window
Yes.
is coming up and you know a contender for greatest scene of all time.
There's quite a few greatest of all times in this story, isn't there?
It's a pretty solid contender, isn't it? On so many levels. I think it's the best classic era debut story.
Yeah.
Look at all those beautiful retro dials.
Yeah. When Rusty Davis brought the show back, he really led so heavily into this show that he's recasting everything, recreating everything. The introduction, the Autons.
It's technically really the first reboot, really.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. This is the first reboot. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They do it again a season later, but this was the first one.
Yeah.
Far more so than the Power of the Daleks, where even though we changed doctors, from one doctor to a different doctor, the show really didn't change that much. The companions stayed the same.
No, but it's in the same season, isn't it? It was the week after the 10th Planet.
Yeah.
So there's no gap between them. Just the serial continues.
Yeah. I know there's a tiny bit of continuity with Terrence Dix and Derek Sherwin. I mean, that's about to totally change, and Barry Letts will be coming in and checking out the show and moving to taking over.
Well, I mean,
what a great camera angle again.
I know
it's so well
full
filmed.
of really inventive angles and shots, isn't it? He's never it's a wonderful sort of restless directorial finale for Derek Martinez.
Yeah, and setting up a high shot like that takes time for half a second, but it drives the action. Great! It's great our lab here that they can't afford wars; they just put petitions up. But never mind, they'll get wars later. It's always good to watch Nicholas's moustache as it moves up and down his lip.
Yes, it's more plausible some days than others, isn't it? I love the fact they actually bothered to go to Madame Two Swords to shoot this that they could have shot anywhere.
Well, they weren't going to shoot it here again, but once again they needed the location. So this was a.
But they didn't have to shoot it in Two Swords, did they? They could have just sort of set up some curtains anywhere.
Yeah.
I've never been to Madame Two Swords. I go past it regularly, but I've never been inside.
I have, but then I've been a tourist in London.
Yeah.
I also went to Two Swords
when you live somewhere, you
Washington,
don't bother.
DC.
I love this actor cheating himself into the shot there, but the camera's behind him.
What's he wearing? That collar.
It looks like a sort of a Russian uniform or something, isn't it? It's just a.
What are you doing, Doctor?
No, I forgot plot-wise. Why did they come here?
What you mean? What brought them there?
Yes.
Well, they knew that they were making autons. They were making waxworks for that.
They provide waxworks to Madame
Yeah.
Two Swords.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember how they found out.
Yeah. Oh, they're the new plastic ones, though, aren't they? They're not wax. They're plastic.
That's right.
Good to see they're still using phones to speed up the plot. Much easier now with a mobile phone, you just pull it out of your pocket, but it still works. They managed to find boxes, phones every corner.
What are those stools doing lined up against the
I was thinking the
wall
exact same thing. I was wondering
Well,
what.
every time I
is
watch
this?
it, I think, what are those stools doing there? But I've never actually had the opportunity to utter it before.
I wonder if they're display sort of stands to put mannequins on.
We'll sit them on.
I wish whether this was actually filmed. This isn't part of the actual factory, so this is still.
No, I always think about this. Is this that they've? That's probably where Paul Allen's had most to do as a designer. Or is there a factory with that machinery in it? No.
Once again, I love that backdrop behind them. That sort of silver metal, wavy. Yeah. That's a very interesting piece of set.
With respect, sir, I think the Brigadier ought to be informed first. I have no authority to part with it.
You can tell Brigadier Stewart I ordered you to hand it over.
My orders must come.
I wonder if John Breslin was disappointed that Captain Monroe never came back. Or whether Paul Darrow was disappointed that Captain Hawkins never came back.
Well, at least he got a good send-off kill scene. It's worse when you just...
Oh, does he get killed, Captain Hawkins?
He does. Saloons kill him. I think the one in Ambassador's Death gets killed too.
Who's the one in Ambassador? What's he called? Does he get a name?
I can't remember.
That's due a rewatch because one of my favourites, Ambassador of Death. In fact, it's not the best story of this season, but it might be the one I'm most fond of. Curiously.
AKA the ever-changing accents of Dr. Taltalian.
Well, yeah. It's only one line that he has a different... He's suddenly English. Get in, Miss Shaw.
I like how his death is explained in a big Finnish companion chronicle later.
Taltalian.
John does. Pardon?
Taltalians.
Yes, yeah. All the bizarre deaths in this first season are all explained away in a bizarre companion chronicle with Carol and John. Or the last post.
Can I ask a question about that waxwork? The older man with the blue suit, slightly pudgy with the moustache. Is he in the android invasion as one of the villagers as well?
Oh,
I swear
that's a good
he's
question.
The same guy.
Let's have another look at him. I know who you mean.
When he walks out.
Isn't that actor also in Robot?
There he is. Couldn't tell you.
You know that the bloke who gets killed by the robots in his dressing gown in his house, and he does a sort of a gasp just before he gets killed when the robot's stealing the.
Yes, I think it is him.
the particular part of the disintegrator gun.
Yep, I think it is.
I think that's the same actor.
What would he be credited as in this? He'd be civil servant, perhaps.
Waxwork.
No, he looks more like a policeman. Maybe police commissioner or something.
Nothing. They know it is time.
There's about 15 extras just listed, just as extras.
Say again?
Oh, just look at the extras list. There's about 15 of them listed.
Oh yeah. Well, are they named? No.
They're not named. Well, I've got a whole list of all the unnamed performances. And there are lots of lists, policemen and passers-by, but
is it Walter Goodman? Would it be Walter Goodman, by any chance?
Might be.
Yes, he was the android. He was the android farmer in
Android Invasion.
In the Android Invasion, and yeah, that's him.
Is he in Robot as well?
Let me have a look.
The enemy of the entire human race.
So why is he clutching his neck?
He was in the Daemons, Robot Yes Part 2,
there you
and the Android Invasion. Yep,
he's in the Demons as well, is he? Okay.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Oh, yes, he's in the church.
One of the villagers.
Yes, one of the
Yep.
villagers. He's
Is
in
he one of the
church,
villagers in when Bok jumps in through the window in that scene?
when they all have the meeting and the
They're having the
master's on
meeting
stairs.
and
Possibly.
Bok-
It
yeah.
just says episode 3. I would say it would probably that
yeah,
one.
that's about
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
that's about right. Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that for a while too. Yes,
That's
that
next on
plastic
my
on her
list.
dress is very. It looks like small intestine she's wearing.
Very strange design.
Looks like a plastic dress. You'd think the Autons would be able to control it.
Oh, I know.
They haven't got quite so much control over plastic yet, have they?
Hamilton Dice, I always remember, who plays Scobie. Have you ever seen a film called Whistle Down the Wind? Which is
No.
an early 60s black and white film where there's some kids. Haley Mills is one of them, and
Oh,
there's a
Jesus.
convict.
I've seen the musical that Andrew Webber wrote.
Yeah, so they find a convict in a barn, and they say, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Jesus," and he's swearing, but they think he's Jesus because of this.
Yes.
And there's a fantastic scene because where the kids, her little brother's upset because he gave the kittens to Jesus, who's Alan Bates, to look after, but the kittens have died. So they go into this coffee bar where Hamilton Dice is the vicar, and she goes up and asks him why God lets things die, and he goes, well, he said, we hurt God much more than God hurts us. For instance, isn't it appalling, children stealing lead and guttering from church roofs and other things like that? And something must be done about it. He's just completely bothered about the church property. And then Haley Mills says, "Thank you very much, Vicar." And they go out, and the little boy goes, "He doesn't know, does he?" It's such a great payoff to the scene. Here we are at
This is the classic scene.
Yeah.
Where we don't see any glass break.
No, but
everyone
you
thinks
know
we
what?
do.
If you'd asked me, I would have told. I would have sworn blind.
You don't need to. We imagine the glass breaking.
Yeah.
You don't need to see it, and it's
No,
so
no.
much less effective than the scene in Rose. Why could this story not be set any later than 1971?
So is this a trivia question?
It is, but this shot reveals it.
Is it?
Oh, it's the pounds and shillings and pence.
It's
is it?
pounds and the shillings.
The prices are all in
Prices.
old money. Yeah, pounds, shillings, and pence. Yeah,
We'd changed over long before this.
obviously.
14th of February 1966, Australia went decimal.
Yes, Susan in Unearthly Child, doesn't she? Talks
Yeah,
about,
she mentioned
we haven't
it.
gone metric yet.
Yeah.
This is their movement is so great, and what they do in the new series with them looking like camp robots with that awful jerky movement is so much less effective than this is just superb stuff, isn't it? And the fact that it's shot on 16mm makes it so much more realistic.
Yeah, but those
I love all
explosions
their
are
reactions.
so good.
All their reactions are great.
Now, once again, any women dead? Just men.
That woman died.
There's a woman on the ground.
Is
I'm
that?
sure the woman who screamed died.
Yeah, and she was
We
screaming
had
her
the
head
bloke
off.
on the bike
She
that-
ran away.
But
That's a good
it
stunt.
was only the guys who had their backs blowing up with the sparks coming
Right.
out of it.
Right. Well, I was rewatching Terror of the Autons. There's a perfection to the structure of Terror of the Autons. I think this sort of it's a bit anticlimactic after that scene. This story, it's sort of it's reached its point of highest dramatic impact.
What, this story?
By that having that scene there, yeah, we've had our most exciting scene. Okay, there's a shootout, but the it's another example
And a monster.
Doctor Who being slightly disappointing in its last reel. Often let down by the final monster reveal. Although I do like the squid in the cellophane there.
It's pretty gross, isn't it?
Yeah.
Glad wrap.
What do you call it?
Glad wrap.
Glad wrap.
Is that what it's called in Australia?
Yeah.
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 Why glad?
It's the company.
That's the brand name.
That's the brand.
It's the brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like sellotape as opposed to sticky tape.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most people know it's cling wrap, isn't it?
It is
Cling film.
wrap, yeah.
Cling film, we call it here.
Yeah.
Right.
Cling
We say
film.
cling-
Give
we
us
say
some cling
cling
film.
wrap.
Always
But
used to
most people say glad
irritate
wrap.
me on Blue Peter when they say and use some sticky tape because nobody says sticky tape and everybody says sellotape.
But Derek Sherwin never sees any of the action, does he? He's always standing there in that car
in
park.
his slightly too small suit.
Oh, yeah, he's hit a big box.
Total destruction. Nice tidy way of getting rid of it, wasn't it?
I was just thinking
It
exact
is.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you drag a body
I
off.
love that little flame there. It's such a weird little moment, that, isn't it? It's sort of almost like magic.
I love the cape with the red satin.
Yeah.
I've always wanted a cape.
I always thought he should have the black cape, and I was never that keen on the dog blanket.
So this
I
is the
think
first
it's
thing you
time, Philip,
remember
you did some
then?
cosplay
This
at one
is
of our
the scene
events.
that I think I remember, but I remember it in black and white. But you
Right.
mentioned, but you mentioned before people used to have black and white TVs, which I'd
Yeah.
forgotten about, to be honest. So that explains.
But did they still have black and white TVs when you were a kid?
Oh yeah.
They
And
did,
we
okay,
could have.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
very young, so it could have been quite
Yeah.
possible that
Yeah.
it was on a black and white TV that I saw this.
My in-laws still had a black and white TV in 1995.
Wow.
When I was
That's their
hanging out
main
with him.
TV.
As their main TV.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he was given a little portable, as a bonus for work for Christmas, he was given a little colour portable, which he put on top of the old black and white. And they had this tiny little colour portable TV for another 5 or 6 years. Until we had kids, and I said, listen, you got to get a proper TV. The kids are coming round, get a proper TV. And so they,
Who was
we
this?
got one.
Who was this?
This is my in-laws, my mother-in-law and father-in-law.
Oh right, your Mrs.'s parents. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Off they go.
Just listen out for the sound of this, the Auton just turning up with the whirring sound. That's why it's so effective.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where.
Yeah.
Oh, nervous breakdown. I'm not quite sure the reason why that actually works in plastic. Now, this is just like a shot.
Just like the invasion, isn't it, with the Cybermen?
Yeah. I wonder if Nicholas Courtney felt like he'd done all this before.
Deja vu, yeah. I think he says on the commentary, actually. Yeah, I think he mentions it.
All these shots are very impressive. They do.
No, it's a good little battle. This. Yeah, and when I got on the VHS, this did disappoint me. This scene because, of course, again, well, there was that on the cover of the book, which is a reasonable Achilleus squid, and also there's the illustration that Chris will no doubt be familiar with.
Yep.
With it sort of flying through the air.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not a great visual. I mean, yeah.
They're still quite a mystery, the Nestines, aren't they? We don't really know that much about them.
Well, how many times have the Big Finish visited the Nestine consciousness?
Quite a few times.
I thought they might have.
They've done some interesting takes on them.
The Eighth
Doctor one, Brave New Town was good because that was a bunch of Autons living in a village who thought they were human.
Yeah.
Haven't listened to any of the Big Finish ones. Didn't know they had them.
There was a unit box set that was featured the Autons. I can't remember what that was called now. I think it was
There's
the very
also
first
the very
unit.
interesting entity that animates chocolate. Do you know about that?
Chocolate.
That's the Nestle consciousness.
Ah, gotcha.
My apologies.
Quick, come on, I've got to stand here while this tentacle comes and tries and gets me. I'm still trying to act while it happens.
The picture's glitching and jittering, which is actually improving it.
I'll just go out and have a look and see what's going on.
No, this is terrible.
Liz, I'm holding this up. Please do something.
Terence says on the commentary, he said the publisher was so impressed with this scene when he wrote the Alton invasion. Oh, I'd love to. I haven't seen this trailer. He said, all you'll see is John Pertwee grappling unconvincingly with a limp piece of plastic.
Almost like calamari. He's just eating calamari there.
That's exactly what it looks like. It's making me feel peckish, actually. Yeah. Calamari. It's those gurning faces. Well, don't help, do they? It's
No,
he was
not at all.
no doubt appalled when he saw this. It goes
Looked
on
very
and
much
on
like
as
Tim
well, doesn't
Treloar
it?
there.
Looks like Tim Treloar. Well, I'll suggest that Tim Treloar has a look at this because he's playing the characters in it, and it's still going on.
Yeah, they spit it up, which is a bit more unrealistic.
Yeah.
Don't spit it up. It looks silly now. But anyhow, I can live with that. That's okay.
Well, we're stuck with it. No one's going to CGI it, so. Well, maybe they will when they bring out the Blu-ray. Oh, there is already there is the Blu-ray, isn't there? But when they bring out the season,
there is a Blu-ray of it already. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Yeah,
but the collection hasn't been
released yet. Which I've got. Yeah. There's quite a nice Pertwee documentary on that Blu-ray, and a very nice interview with Daisy Ashford, looking very young and beautiful. Well, we're at the last scene already.
Yeah.
Robert Holmes writing in his lines to make sure he gets the sequel.
Oh,
next,
yeah.
Next
Do
year.
you think they might come back? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've done a great job establishing the three main leads now.
No, it's the best introductory story until the 11th hour, as far as I'm concerned. Which is the best first Doctor story for my money of the Revive series.
Yeah, the 11th hour just works. Every piece of that works perfectly. Not a wasted word or wasted scene or shot.
I think so, yeah.
I wonder why they decided to not let him steal the right car he wanted to start off with. Or maybe they were still having it made, the Bessie.
No idea.
It might have just been a one-off, and then Barry Letts came along and said, "Oh, he likes the car. Let's go for it." Another prop that we don't have to pay
Barry
for
Letts.
every
I think
episode.
Barry Letts. It was all Bessie was all up and running by the time Barry, right? Because Barry hated the fact that they got the Who on number plate on it, didn't he? Because he thought it was too sort of self-referential, because he's not called Doctor Who in it. So I think that was Derek Sherwin who must have organised Bessie.
Now, he did say at the end there he was Dr. John Smith, but it wasn't the first time. Wasn't it?
It's
I'm
in
sure
the Wheel in
second
Space,
Doctor
but
said it.
it's before, isn't it? Is it in the Highlanders?
Like the Highlanders is Dr. John Smith too in German.
Johann Schmidt in the Highlanders.
Well, the ratings jumped up for that, and Doctor Who was safe because at one stage this almost didn't get made because of falling ratings.
But the downside is Barry never got to produce Snowy Black, that series about the Australian bounty hunter or whatever it was.
Yeah, there's no downside there. I think we're fine.
Perhaps there was a tinge of irony in that statement.
Well, I think it's time for Wheeze all round.
Have a wee and a final chat. Yeah. All right.
Hi, I'm Maureen O'Brien. This is the Sirens of Audio.
Well, there we go, boys. Great to be able to sit through this episode for you. It was a new experience for us. How'd you find it, Chris?
That was great. I enjoyed it. Really did. Yeah. It was great listening to it, watching it. And I don't watch Doctor Who very often with anyone, so it's actually quite nice to watch it with other people who appreciate it and throw out all these facts about it.
How was it for you, Mr. Noonan?
Oh, splendid. And I don't watch Doctor Who that often, ever. No, I do watch it occasionally, but not that often with other people. And often Mark Elstob or my friend Tony. Oh, and I'll take this opportunity while we're on air to say I spoke to Mark Elstob yesterday, and he said he'd be delighted to do an interview with the Sirens of Audio. So there's a scoop for you.
Thank you.
I obviously told him, what was a splendid experience it would be.
Start re-listening to The Prisoner now,
and what a big fan of his Prisoner you were. So quite rightly so. It's lovely to do this. We should do it again if it works.
Yeah, as long as it's The Creature from the Pit or Nightmare of Eden. I'll give you the choice of those two.
Well, it was never going to be Creature from the Pit, Dwayne. But I'm glad. I'm slightly glad. Yes. Right now, did I? I don't think I meant it. I'm slightly glad right now that we decided to do a 4-parter rather, because we did moot Dinosaur Invasion, but also I'm glad because I want to do a really proper, thorough watch through of the whole Pertwee era for the first time in about 6 months now, so it's been a great start to do that, but it's been delightful to share the experience with you three. So brilliant. Nice to meet you as well, Chris. Fantastic.
Yeah, you too.
Lovely.
Thank you. How was it for you, Philip?
It is just so exciting to see classic Doctor Who, because as much as I love the new series, a lot of the new series, you go back to something like this and just go, it is just amazing. And it's hard to know how much it's nostalgia, but the beats... Generally, the acting is a bit of overacting sometimes now and then. But
leave Derek Smee alone.
How they actually constructed the whole story, put it together, the dialogue, the writing, the music, it really is just a great package. And I love watching over the decades. The show changes and evolves and adapts itself, but nevertheless, there's still so much there that's entertaining and to talk about and think about. And I've had a great time. I've enjoyed it. It's been fun.
It's like it might be something we need to do again. Oh, I had a ball.
How did you enjoy it, Dwayne?
I had a ball.
Yeah.
Loved it.
No, it's great. No,
I definitely would like to do it again. It's a nice change from what we normally do, because we rarely get to talk about TV, Doctor Who.
I'll happily do another one quite soon. If you want to do another one soon, I'll tell you. Okay. I'll think about Graham Williams, not necessarily Creature from the Pit. Although I haven't watched it for a long time. Maybe it's time I did have a look at the Creature from the Pit and reevaluate it.
I think it might be. Philip would be happy with Horns of Nimon. I know that much.
Yeah, that would be. I'd be happy with Creature of the Pit. It's been a while since I've watched it. It'd be good for me to do a bit of prep for it and a bit of reading and
Well, it would certainly be a hoot to do a commentary for it. Yeah.
I love Lila Ward. I think and I love Tom Baker, and there's some great stuff in it. Yeah. Once again, there'll be some dreadful overacting as well, but it'll be fun.
No, very good. All right, well, let's wrap it up for this episode. It's been great to spend some time with you all, fellas, and Philip. Most of all, it's been nice spending time with you.
I ditto, Dwayne. Just can't stand not being with you.
And find out all about our live events at sirensofaudio.com. They're coming up very, very soon. We're very excited to be able to be with you in person for all of those in Australia and those who want to come over to Australia to visit us and our events. Check out the website for those details. Until next time, we've got some exciting guests coming up too, so look out for those on the podcast. Until next time, we'll catch you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you later.
This has been the Sirens of Audio and our special Doctor Who Podcast Day feature, the live commentary of Spearhead from Space, with our guests Stephen Noonan and Chris Beer, and your hosts Philip Edney and Dwayne Bunny. Theme music by Joe Kramer. Check out our live event details and all other info on the podcast at sirensofaudio.com. Got some feedback? Send your email to sirensofaudio@gmail.com or DM us at any of our socials. Our handle is @AudioSirens. Thanks for listening, audiophiles. We'll hear you next time.